Lisa Hayes pressed her face against the cold metal of the observation deck window. Stars filled the darkness ahead, but she only cared about one thing. Her target was somewhere out there, hiding like a snake in the rocks. 3 months she had been chasing him. 3 months of following destroyed colonies and dead humans. The alien called himself Vexter, and he was very good at killing people. "Too good. Commander Hayes, we have something on the scanner," called out her weapons officer. Pete Williams. His voice carried across the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Valor. The bridge was small and cramped. Nothing like the fancy ships in the movies. But it was home to Lisa and her crew of 12. Lisa turned away from the window and walked to the main console. The green lines on the screen showed what Pete had found. A ship signature moving slowly through the asteroid field near the old mining station. "That's him," Lisa said. Her voice was quiet but firm. "I know that ship pattern. It's Vexter." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Danny Cross, looked worried. "Commander, that mining station has been empty for 5 years. Why would he go there?" Lisa had been thinking about that same question. Vexter was smart. He never went anywhere without a reason. The mining station was perfect for an ambush, but who was planning to ambush whom? "Maybe he's setting a trap," she said. "Or maybe he's finally made a mistake." The mining station sat in the middle of the asteroid field like a metal spider. It had been built to harvest rare metals from the rocks, but the company went broke and left everything behind. Now it was just a ghost floating in space. Lisa studied the scanner readings. Vexter's ship was small and fast, built for hunting. Her ship was bigger but older. In a straight fight, she wasn't sure who would win, but she had one advantage that Vexter didn't know about. "Pete, get me the experimental equipment from Storage Bay 3, she ordered. "The cloaking device?" "Commander, that thing hasn't been tested properly. It might not work." Lisa smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "It's going to work. It has to." She had been planning this for weeks. The cloaking device could hide a small escape pod from scanners. It could also make the pod's life support systems look like they were failing. To anyone watching, it would look like whoever was inside was dying. "Listen up, everyone," Lisa said to her crew. "We're going to do something crazy. I want you all to get to the escape pods and leave the ship." The bridge went quiet. Everyone stared at her like she had lost her mind. "Commander," Danny said slowly, "what are you planning?" Lisa looked at each of her crew members. They were good people. They trusted her. She hated what she was about to ask them to do. "I'm going to blow up the ship," she said. "With me inside? At least, that's what Vexter will think." Danny stood up from his chair. "No way. We're not leaving you here." "Yes, you are," Lisa said. Her voice was harder now. "That's an order. You'll take the pods and head for the supply station at Kepler 438. Wait for me there." "Commander, this is suicide," said Jenny Martinez, the ship's engineer. "Even if the cloaking device works, you'll be stuck on that mining station with nowhere to go." Lisa had thought about that too. "I'll find a way, I always do." She walked to the communication console and opened a channel to Vexter's ship. She didn't expect him to answer, but she had to try. "Vexter, this is Commander Lisa Hayes of the Earth Defense Force. I know you can hear me." The speaker crackled with static. Then a voice came through, deep and rough like grinding stone. "Commander Hayes, I have been waiting for you." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. He had been waiting? That didn't make sense. "I'm here to arrest you for the murder of human colonists," she said. Vexter laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "You cannot arrest what you cannot catch, human. But please, try to catch me. It will be entertaining." The channel went dead. Lisa stared at the speaker for a moment. Something was wrong about this whole situation, but she couldn't figure out what. "All right, everyone out," she said. "Danny, you're in charge of the evacuation. Make sure everyone gets to their pods safely." One by one, her crew said goodbye. Some of them had tears in their eyes. Danny was the last to leave. "Lisa," he said, using her first name for the first time in. "Yours come back alive, okay?" "I'll try," she said. When the bridge was empty, Lisa began preparing for her plan. She set the ship's reactor to overload in exactly 10 minutes. That would give her enough time to get to the escape pod and launch it. She grabbed the experimental cloaking device from storage. It looked like a metal backpack with too many wires. The scientists who made it said it could hide a small object from most scanners. They also said it might explode if used incorrectly. Lisa strapped the device to her back and ran to escape pod 7. It was the smallest pod on the ship, barely big enough for one person. She climbed inside and sealed the hatch. The pod's computer started counting down. Reactor overload in 3 minutes, it announced. Lisa activated the cloaking device. The pod's lights dimmed as the machine drew power from the life support systems. On the scanner, her life signs began to fade. Launching pod, she said to herself. The pod shot out of the Valor just as the reactor reached critical. Lisa watched through the tiny window as her ship exploded in a ball of fire and light. The blast was so bright it hurt her eyes. When the light faded, she saw Vexler's ship moving toward the wreckage. He was scanning the debris, looking for signs of life. According to his instruments, there wouldn't be any, Lisa smiled. The first part of her plan had worked. Now came the hard part. She piloted the pod toward the mining station, staying in the shadow of the asteroids. The cloaking device made her invisible to Vexler's scanners, but she had to be careful. One wrong move and he would spot her. The mining station grew larger as she approached. It was massive, with long arms reaching out like a giant metal octopus. The docking bays lined the main structure, most of them empty and dark. Lisa found an open bay and guided her pod inside. The station's artificial gravity pulled her down to the deck with a soft thump. She grabbed her weapon and supplies, then climbed out of the pod. The station was cold and dark. Emergency lights cast long shadows down the corridors. Lisa's breath formed small clouds in the air as she walked. She found a good hiding spot near the main computer center and settled in to wait. Vexler would come to the station soon. He was too curious about the explosion to stay away. Lisa checked her weapon and made sure the cloaking device was still working. According to her equipment, she was dead. Her heart had stopped beating. Her lungs had stopped breathing. And her brain had stopped thinking. She was the perfect ghost, waiting to haunt the alien who had killed so many of her people. But as she sat in the darkness of the abandoned station, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. Vexler's last words kept echoing in her mind. I have been waiting for you. What if this wasn't her trap at all? What if she was walking into his? Lisa waited in the darkness for 2 hours before she heard the sound of metal against metal. Something was docking with the mining station. She pressed herself against the wall and listened carefully. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors. The sound was wrong for human feet. Too heavy, with a clicking noise like claws on metal. Vexler had arrived. Lisa moved quietly through the shadows, following the sounds. The alien was not trying to be quiet. He walked through the station like he owned it. His footsteps loud and confident. She found him in the main control room, standing in front of a bank of computers. In the dim light, she could see him clearly for the first time. Vexler was tall, maybe 7 feet, with dark green skin that looked like leather. His head was long and narrow, like a snake's, with yellow eyes that glowed in the dark. He wore black armor that covered most of his body, and Lisa could see weapons attached to his belt, but what surprised her most was what he was doing. He wasn't searching for survivors or looking for valuable equipment. He was setting up some kind of machine. The device was about the size of a suitcase, covered in blinking lights and strange symbols. Vexler connected it to the station's computer system with thick cables. As soon as the connection was made, the machine began to hum. Lisa watched from her hiding place as screens all around the control room came to life. Information flowed across them in alien writing that she couldn't read, but she could see numbers and charts that looked familiar. The alien worked for another hour, setting up more equipment throughout the station. Lisa followed him at a distance, staying in the shadows. Each machine he placed was connected to the station's power grid and computer network. When Vexler finished his work, he returned to the control room and sat down at the main console. His clawed fingers moved across the keyboard with surprising speed. The screens filled with new information. Lisa crept closer, trying to see what he was looking at. She was good with computers, and some of the data looked like scanning results. But scanning for what? Then she saw something that made her blood run cold. On one of the screens was a list of names, human names. And at the top of the list was her own name, Commander Lisa Hayes, but it wasn't just her name. There was other information too. Her birthday, her blood type, her medical history, and something else that made no sense, a long string of numbers and letters that looked like a genetic code. Lisa looked at the other names on the list. She recognized some of them. Colony leaders who had been killed by Vexter, scientists who had disappeared, soldiers who had died in suspicious accidents. All of them were human. All of them were dead. And all of them had the same strange genetic code next to their names. As Lisa watched, more information appeared on the screens. Maps of human colonies, lists of ships and their routes, population records from Earth and Mars. Vexler was studying all of it with the focus of a hunter planning his next kill. But this wasn't random hunting. This was organized, systematic. He was looking for something specific. Lisa realized with growing horror that she wasn't looking at the work of a lone bounty hunter. This was something much bigger. Someone was using Vexter to hunt down humans with specific genetic traits. The alien stood up from the console and walked to another machine. This one was different from the others. It had a large screen and what looked like a communication device. Vexler activated it and began speaking in his own language. Lisa couldn't understand the words, but she could hear the tone. He was reporting to someone, telling them about his progress. After a few minutes, another voice answered. This one was deeper, more threatening. Even though Lisa couldn't understand the language, she could tell that this was Vexler's boss. The conversation continued. For several minutes, Lisa heard her name mentioned several times, along with words that sounded like coordinates and time references. When the communication ended, Vexler returned to the computer console. He pulled up a new screen that showed a map of the local star system. Lisa could see the mining station marked in the center, with various ship routes marked around it. But what caught her attention was a cluster of red dots at the edge of the system. They were moving slowly toward the station. More ships were coming. Lisa counted the dots, at least a dozen ships, maybe more. Too many for a simple bounty hunting operation. This was a fleet. She needed to get closer to see more details, but the control room was too open. If she moved from her hiding spot, Vexler would see her immediately. As she tried to figure out what to do, Lisa heard a new sound. A low humming that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The mining station was powering up systems that had been shut down for years. Lights began to flicker on throughout the facility. Machines that had been silent for half a decade started to work again. The station was coming back to life. But why? What did Vexter need with an old mining operation? Lisa got her answer when she saw what appeared on the main screen. It was a three-dimensional map of the entire galaxy, with thousands of points of light scattered across it. Each point was labeled with symbols that looked like star charts, but some of the points were different colors. Blue ones seemed to represent human colonies. Red ones were marked with symbols that Lisa didn't recognize, and there were yellow ones scattered throughout, much fewer in number. As she watched, Vexler zoomed in on one section of the map. The area around Earth and the nearby human colonies. Lisa could see the pattern now. The red points were following the blue ones. Wherever humans had established colonies, the red points appeared shortly after. And wherever the red points went, the blue ones disappeared. Someone was systematically hunting down human settlements, but not all humans. Only specific ones. Lisa looked back at the list of names on the other screen. All the dead colonists, all the missing people. They all had that same genetic marker, her genetic marker. The realization hit her like a physical blow. She wasn't just another target for a bounty hunter. She was part of something much bigger and more dangerous. Lisa remembered her family history. Her great-grandmother had been part of the first wave of colonists to Mars over 200 years ago. Those early settlers had been carefully selected for their genetic diversity and adaptability. What if that selection process had been about more than just surviving on Mars? What if those early colonists had carried something in their DNA that someone else wanted? Lisa was so focused on the screens that she almost missed the sound of footsteps behind her. She turned just in time to see Vexler walking toward her hiding place. Had he spotted her? Lisa held her breath and pressed herself against the wall. The cloaking device was still active, but it wasn't perfect. If Vexler looked directly at her, he might see through the illusion. The alien stopped just a few feet away from her hiding spot. His yellow eyes scanned the area slowly. Lisa could see his nostrils flaring as he sniffed the air. For a moment that felt like forever, they stood there. Lisa hidden in the shadows. Vexler searching for something he could sense but not see. Then he turned and walked back to the console. Lisa let out a silent breath of relief, but her relief was short-lived. On the main screen, she could see that the red dots had moved closer to the station. The fleet would arrive in less than 6 hours. Whatever was happening here, Lisa was running out of time to stop it. She needed to find a way to warn Earth about the threat. But first, she needed to understand exactly what that threat was. As she watched Vexler work at the console, Lisa began to form a plan. It was dangerous and probably stupid, but it might be her only chance to learn the truth. She was going to have to get much closer to the alien hunter. Close enough to see exactly what information he was gathering and who he was reporting to. The hunt was about to become much more complicated. The first thing Lisa noticed was the sound, a deep rumbling that made the entire mining station shake. Something very large was approaching. She pressed herself against the wall and watched as Vexler stood up from the computer console. The alien's yellow eyes were bright with excitement. He walked to the main viewing window and looked out into space. Lisa could see it too now. A massive ship was moving toward the mining station. It was 10 times bigger than her old ship, the Valor. The hull was dark red metal covered in spikes and weapon ports. This was not a ship built for exploration or trade. This was a warship. The alien ship moved with surprising grace for something so large. As it got closer, Lisa could see smaller ships flying around it like guards. The entire fleet had arrived. Vexler activated his communication device again. This time he spoke louder with more respect in his voice. Lisa still couldn't understand the words, but she could tell he was reporting to someone important. The massive ship docked with the mining station using extending arms that clamped onto the outer hull. Lisa felt the vibration through the floor as the two structures connected. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors. More aliens were boarding the station. Lisa counted at least 20 different sets of footsteps, all heading toward the control room where Vexler waited. Lisa needed to get closer to see what was happening, but the corridors were full of aliens now. She would have to be very careful. She moved through the maintenance tunnels that ran between the walls of the station. The tunnels were narrow and dark, but they allowed her to travel without being seen. She found a grate that looked into the main control room and positioned herself to watch. What she saw made her heart stop. Standing in the center of the room was the largest alien she had ever seen. He was at least 8 feet tall, with the same green skin as Vexler but covered in scars and metal implants. His armor was black and gold, decorated with symbols that looked like trophies of war. Around him stood a dozen other aliens, all armed and dangerous looking. They formed a circle around Vexler, who had dropped to one knee in a position of respect. The large alien spoke in a voice like thunder. Even through the metal grate, Lisa could feel the power in his words. Vexler answered quickly, pointing to the various screens and computers around the room. Lisa watched as the large alien examined the information that Vexler had gathered. He looked at the list of human names, the genetic codes, and the star maps showing human colonies. Then he did something that surprised Lisa. He began to speak in broken English. "Good work, Vexler," the large alien said. His accent was thick and hard to understand, but Lisa could make out the words. "The humans with the ancient blood are almost found." Ancient blood? Lisa didn't understand what that meant. Vexler replied in English as well, though his was better than his commander's. "Yes, Supreme Commander Kethver. We have located 47 carriers of the architect genetic sequence. 23 are already dead? The others are being tracked? Architect genetic sequence? Lisa felt confused and terrified at the same time. What were they talking about? Kethver walked to the main screen and pointed at the galactic map. The architects were clever, he said. They hid their greatest secret in the DNA of the youngest race. They knew we would not think to look in human genetics for thousands of years. Lisa's mind raced as she tried to understand what she was hearing. Someone called the architects had hidden something in human DNA, and these aliens had been looking for it? Tell me about the Haze human, Kethver ordered. Vexler activated another screen. Lisa's picture appeared, along with detailed information about her family history. Lisa Hayes, Earth Defense Force Commander, Vexler said. Her genetic sequence shows 97% compatibility with the architect template. Her great-grandmother was among the first Mars colonists selected specifically for genetic diversity. Lisa felt sick. They had been tracking her family for generations. The Mars Colony Project? Kethver said slowly. We always wondered why the humans chose those specific individuals for their first major colonization effort. The genetic selection seemed too precise for such a young species. The architects guided their selection process, Vexler explained. They influenced human leaders to choose colonists who carried the strongest concentrations of the hidden genetic code. Lisa gripped the metal grate so hard her knuckles turned white. The first Mars colonists hadn't been chosen randomly. Some ancient alien race had influenced the selection to make sure their hidden genetic code would survive and spread. How much of the code do we have now? Kethver asked. Another alien stepped forward. This one was smaller than the others, with lighter green skin and what looked like computer implants in his skull. 68%, Supreme Commander. The smaller alien reported. We need at least 20 more carriers to complete the sequence. The Haze human's genetic pattern could provide 12% by itself. And what happens when we have the complete code? Kethver asked, though Lisa could tell he already knew the answer. We will have the location of the archive, the computer alien said. The architect's final repository of technology and weapons. With that knowledge, the Draknari Empire will be unstoppable. Lisa felt the blood drain from her face. These aliens weren't just hunting humans for fun. They were trying to unlock some kind of ancient weapon system that would make them powerful enough to conquer the entire galaxy. Kethver turned back to Vexler. Where is the Haze human now? Dead, Supreme Commander. She died when her ship exploded trying to attack me. I have confirmed the destruction with multiple scans. Kethver was quiet for a long moment. Then he walked to the main computer console and began typing commands. New information appeared on the screens. Show me the explosion, he ordered. The screen displayed a recording of Lisa's ship, the Valor, exploding near the asteroid field. The blast looked real and devastating. Even Lisa was impressed by how convincing it appeared, but Kethver studied the recording carefully. He slowed it down, zoomed in on different sections, and analyzed the debris patterns. Something is wrong, he said finally. Lisa's heart began to beat faster. Had he spotted something in the explosion that revealed her escape? The debris pattern is incorrect, Kethver continued. The reactor explosion should have created a different scatter of metal fragments, and the energy signature is too weak for a full reactor overload. Vexler looked confused. What are you saying, Supreme Commander? I am saying that Lisa Hayes may still be alive, Kethver said. The explosion was fake. She escaped somehow, and is probably hiding nearby. Lisa felt panic rising in her chest. If they started searching the mining station thoroughly, they would find her eventually. Begin a complete scan of this facility, Kethver ordered. Use every sensor we have. If the human is here, I want her found. The aliens scattered throughout the control room, activating scanning equipment and computer systems. Lisa knew she had to move, but where could she go? The mining station was large, but not large enough to hide from a full search. As she watched the aliens work, Lisa began to understand the true scale of what she was facing. This wasn't just about her or even about the human colonies that had been attacked. The Drachnary Empire was trying to unlock technology that could threaten every free species in the galaxy. She thought about her crew, safely hidden at the supply station waiting for her to return. She thought about Earth and all the human colonies scattered across dozens of star systems. None of them knew about this threat. Lisa made a decision. Even if it meant revealing her location, she had to find a way to warn Earth about what was coming. The information she had learned was too important to die with her. She began to crawl through the maintenance tunnels toward the communication array. If she could send a message to Earth Defense Command, maybe they could prepare for what was coming. But as she moved through the narrow tunnel, Lisa heard a sound that made her freeze. Footsteps above her, moving in the same direction she was going. They were already searching for her. Lisa stayed perfectly still in the maintenance tunnel as the footsteps passed overhead. The alien searching for her moved slowly, carefully checking every room and corridor. She could hear him talking into a communication device, reporting his progress to the others. When the footsteps faded, Lisa continued crawling toward the communication array. The tunnel was getting smaller, and she had to squeeze through some tight spaces. But she was determined to reach the communications room. Finally, she found a grate that looked into the communications center. She peered through the metal slats and saw that the room was empty. All the aliens were searching other parts of the station. Lisa carefully removed the grate and dropped down into the room. The communication equipment was old but still functional. She quickly activated the long-range transmitter and began setting up a connection to Earth Defense Command. As she worked, Lisa's mind raced with everything she had learned. The Drachnary Empire was hunting humans for their DNA. Ancient aliens, called architects, had hidden technology in human genetics. And somewhere in space was a weapon cache that could make the Drachnary unstoppable. The transmitter came online, and Lisa began recording her message. She spoke quietly but clearly, knowing this might be her only chance to warn Earth. This is Commander Lisa Hayes of the EDF Valor. I am transmitting from mining station Kepler 442c. Earth is in immediate danger from the Drachnary Empire. They are hunting humans with specific genetic markers connected to the original Mars colonists. The Drachnary are trying to unlock ancient alien technology that could threaten the entire galaxy. Lisa paused, listening for footsteps. The station was quiet for now, but she knew the aliens were still searching. The Drachnary know about our genetic history, she continued. They influenced the selection of the first Mars colonists to ensure certain genetic codes would survive. These codes contain the location of ancient weapons. I repeat, Earth is in immediate danger. She was about to send the message when she heard voices in the corridor outside. The aliens were getting closer. Lisa quickly finished her recording and began the transmission sequence. The message would take 3 minutes to reach Earth. Lisa didn't think she had 3 minutes. The voices were getting louder. Lisa could hear Vexler talking to another alien about their search pattern. They were being systematic, checking every room in order. Lisa looked around the communications room. There was only one door, and the aliens would be here soon. She needed a way to buy time for her message to transmit. Then she saw something that gave her an idea. The mining station had been designed to extract metals from asteroids. That meant it had powerful industrial equipment throughout the facility. Lisa accessed the station's main computer system. The mining equipment was still connected to the network, even though it hadn't been used in years. She could control it remotely from the communications room. The voices outside were very close now. Lisa could hear footsteps stopping at each door. As the aliens searched room by room, she activated the mining equipment on the lower levels of the station. Massive drilling machines came to life, their motors roaring like mechanical beasts. The noise echoed through the entire facility, making it impossible to hear anything else. The aliens in the corridor started shouting to each other, confused by the sudden noise. Lisa smiled. The sound would cover her movements and make it harder for them to coordinate their search, but she wasn't done. The mining station had other systems she could use. Lisa activated the asteroid processing equipment. Giant magnetic fields designed to sort metal from rock began operating at full power. The electromagnetic interference would disrupt the aliens' scanning equipment, Next, she turned on the ventilation systems throughout the station. Air began flowing through corridors that had been still for years. But Lisa adjusted the settings, creating wind patterns that would carry sounds in the wrong directions. The transmission progress bar on her screen showed 60% complete. She needed more time. Lisa accessed the station's cargo handling systems. Massive robot arms designed to move heavy equipment began operating randomly throughout the facility. They grabbed empty containers and moved them from place to place, creating loud crashes and bangs. The aliens outside were shouting louder now. The combination of noise, electromagnetic interference, and random movements was making their search much more difficult. Lisa heard footsteps running down the corridor. The aliens were trying to reach the main control room to shut down the systems she had activated. She quickly locked all the computer terminals using her Earth Defense Force command codes. The aliens would need time to break through her security measures. The transmission progress bar showed 80% complete. Lisa activated one more system. The mining station had emergency protocols designed to protect workers during asteroid impacts. She triggered a partial emergency lockdown. Heavy blast doors began closing throughout the station, sealing off sections of corridors. The aliens would have to find alternate routes or break through the doors to continue their search. She could hear Vexler's voice over the noise, shouting orders in his own language. He sounded angry and frustrated. 90% complete. Lisa heard a new sound. Something heavy hitting the door to the communications room. The aliens had found her location and were trying to break in. The door shook with each impact. It was solid metal, but it wouldn't hold forever. 95% complete. The door cracked. Lisa could see clawed fingers reaching through the gap, trying to widen it. 98% complete. The door split apart. Vexler stepped through the opening, his yellow eyes blazing with anger. Behind him came two other aliens, both carrying energy weapons. "Human female," Vexler snarled. "You have caused much trouble." Lisa looked at the transmission progress bar. 99% complete. "I'm just getting started," she said. 100%. Message transmitted. Lisa grabbed the communication console and pulled it away from the wall. Sparks flew as the connections broke. Even if the aliens repaired the equipment, they wouldn't be able to stop her message from reaching Earth. Vexler raised his weapon. "You will come with us. Supreme Commander Kethfer wants to speak with you." Lisa looked around the room. She was trapped with no way out, but she had accomplished her mission. Earth would be warned. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. Lisa reached for the manual controls of the mining station's power systems. If she overloaded the main reactor, she could destroy the entire facility. It would kill her, but it would also take out most of the Draknari fleet before she could reach the controls. One of the other aliens fired his weapon. A blue energy beam hit Lisa in the shoulder, spinning her around and knocking her to the floor. Pain shot through her body, but she was still conscious. The weapon had been set to stun, not kill. "Supreme Commander Kethfer wants her alive," Vexler explained to the other alien. "She is too valuable to kill?" Lisa tried to get up, but her body wouldn't respond properly. The stun weapon had affected her nervous system. Vexler walked over and looked down at her. "You humans are more resourceful than we expected," he said, "but also more foolish." "Did you really think one message to Earth would make a difference?" Lisa managed to smile through the pain. "You'll find out." What she didn't tell Vexler was that her message hadn't just gone to Earth Defense Command. She had also transmitted it on every emergency frequency used by human ships. Every trader, explorer, colonist, and military vessel within 50 light-years had received her warning. The message had included the location of the mining station and details about the Draknari genetic hunting program. More importantly, it had contained a simple request that every human could understand. "Come help." Lisa knew her people. Humans didn't abandon each other when things got dangerous. They did the opposite. When one human was in trouble, others came running. Vexler ordered the other aliens to carry Lisa to the control room. As they lifted her from the floor, she could see through the communications room window. In the distance, small lights were moving among the stars. At first there were only a few. then dozens, then hundreds. Human ships were arriving from all directions. Not military vessels, but ordinary people who had heard her call for help. Miners, traders, families, and explorers. All coming to fight an enemy they had never seen before. Lisa started laughing, despite the pain from her wound. The Draknari had made a serious mistake. They had threatened humanity, and now they were about to learn what that really meant. The hunt was about to become a war. Lisa was dragged into the main control room, where Supreme Commander Kethfer waited. The massive alien looked at her with his cold yellow eyes as the other aliens forced her into a chair. "Commander Lisa Hayes," Kethfer said in his broken English, "you have been very troublesome." Lisa's shoulder still hurt from the stun weapon, but she could move her arms again. She looked around the control room and saw that more aliens had arrived. At least 30 Draknari warriors now filled the space. "I try my best," Lisa said. Kethfer walked to the main viewing window and pointed outside. "Look at your rescue fleet. Human, do you see how pathetic it is?" Lisa looked out the window and felt her heart sink. The human ships that had answered her call were scattered throughout the asteroid field. But they looked so small compared to the massive Draknari warship. She could see mining vessels, cargo haulers, passenger shuttles, and small exploration ships. Maybe 50 vessels in total. None of them were military ships with heavy weapons. "Your people came to die for you," Kethfer said. "How touching." But Lisa was looking more carefully at the human ships. They weren't attacking. They weren't even moving in formation like a military fleet. Instead, they seemed to be spreading out through the asteroid field, positioning themselves behind rocks. "And debris, what are they doing?" Vexler asked, studying the same display. Kethfer activated his communication system and spoke, in his own language, to the commander of his warship. The response came back immediately, and Lisa could hear the confusion in the alien voice. "They are not responding to our demands for surrender," Kethfer said slowly. "And they are not attacking either. They are just dieting." Lisa smiled. She was beginning to understand what the human fleet was planning. "You don't know much about humans, do you?" she said. Kethfer turned back to her. "We know enough. You are a young species with primitive technology. You have no chance against the Draknari Empire." "Maybe," Lisa said, "but you made one big mistake." "What?" "Mistake? You think like soldiers," Lisa explained. "You plan everything in advance. You follow strategies and protocols. But most of those ships out there aren't military vessels. They're crewed by miners, traders, and explorers. People who solve problems every day without following any rules." Kethfer looked back at the display showing the human ships. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you're about to learn why the architects chose humans to carry their genetic code." Before Kethfer could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the mining station. The Draknari communication officer was shouting in their alien language. "What is happening?" Kethfer demanded. Vexter ran to a computer console and began reading the displays. "The human ships," he said. "They are doing something to the asteroids." Lisa looked at the main screen and started laughing. The human fleet wasn't planning a direct attack. They were doing something much more creative. The mining ships were using their equipment to break apart large asteroids. The cargo haulers were moving the pieces into new positions. The passenger shuttles were acting as spotters, directing the work. Together, they were building something in space. "It appears to be some kind of structure," the Draknari communication officer reported. "But we cannot determine its purpose." Lisa could see it taking shape on the screen. The humans were using asteroid chunks to build a massive funnel-shaped formation around the Draknari warship. "They're not trying to fight you," Lisa said. "They're trying to trap you." Kethfer grabbed Lisa by the shoulders. "What is your fleet planning?" "The same thing any human would do when facing something bigger and stronger," Lisa said. "They're changing the rules." On the display, Lisa could see the human ships working faster now. More asteroids were being moved into position. The funnel shape was getting tighter around the Draknari warship. "Commander," Vexler called out. "The human vessels are also deploying some kind of reflective material throughout the asteroid formation." Lisa nodded. Solar collectors from the mining ships. Very shiny. Why would they need reflective material? Kethver asked. Lisa pointed to the screen showing the local star system. See that sun over there? It's a young star, very bright and energetic. Those reflective surfaces are going to focus all that sunlight into one very hot beam. Kethver's eyes went wide as he understood what the humans were building. They are creating a solar weapon? The biggest magnifying glass in the galaxy, Lisa confirmed. Aimed right at your ship. The alarms got louder as the Draknari realized the danger they were in. Their warship was surrounded by a formation of asteroids and reflective surfaces. That would soon concentrate enough solar energy to melt through any armor. All ships, retreat immediately, Kethver ordered into his communication device, but it was too late. The human fleet had positioned asteroids to block all the exit routes. The Draknari warship was trapped in the center of the formation. This is impossible, Vexler said. How could civilian vessels coordinate such a complex operation? Lisa stood up from her chair. The stun weapon's effects had worn off completely. Now, because they don't need orders from a central command. Every human captain out there looked at your big scary warship and thought the same thing. How do I take down something that big with what I have? And they all came up with the same answer? Kethver asked. Different answers that work together. Lisa said, that's what humans do. We improvise. On the display, the solar collectors were almost in position. The reflected sunlight was already creating visible beams of energy that converged on the Draknari warship. Kethver activated his personal communication device and began speaking rapidly in his own language. Lisa could tell he was calling for backup from other Draknari ships. Your reinforcements are 3 days away, Lisa said. Those solar collectors will have your ship melted in about 10 minutes. Kethver looked at her with something that might have been respect. How did you know? Because I know humans, Lisa said. And I know that every single person in that fleet is thinking of new ways to make your day worse. As if to prove her point, new alarms started sounding. The Draknari communication officer reported that the human ships were now launching small objects toward the mining station. Missiles? Vexler asked. Lisa looked at the display and smiled. Mining charges. They're going to blow holes in the station and create a debris field. Even if you escape the solar weapon, you'll have to navigate through a cloud of flying metal. This is insane, Kethver said. Your people are risking their own lives for one person. That's another thing you don't understand about humans. Lisa said, we don't abandon each other, ever. The temperature readings from the Draknari warship were rising rapidly as the focused sunlight heated its hull. Lisa could see the ship trying to move, but the asteroid formation held it in place. Kethver made a decision. He turned to his communication officer and gave an order in their language. What did you tell them? Lisa asked. I ordered my ship to surrender, Kethver said. Before your people cook us alive, Lisa nodded. Smart choice. The Supreme Commander looked at her with his yellow eyes. Tell me, human, the genetic code your people carry, do you know what it really is? Some kind of map to ancient weapons, Lisa said. Kethver laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. No, the architects did not hide the location of weapons in your DNA. They hid something much more powerful. What? The ability to think beyond logic, Kethver explained. Every other species in the galaxy follows predictable patterns. We plan, we strategize, we follow protocols. But humans create solutions that should not work, yet somehow do. Lisa thought about the fleet outside. 50 civilian ships had just defeated a Draknari warship using mining equipment and sunlight. The architects knew that their technology would eventually be found by species like us, Kethver continued. So they created a guardian race. A species that could protect the galaxy not through superior weapons, but through superior thinking. You're saying humans are some kind of galactic police force? I am saying humans are something new in the universe. Something that cannot be conquered because you refuse to be predictable. Lisa looked out the window at the human fleet. The ships were already starting to rescue survivors from damaged Draknari vessels. Even after winning the battle, humans were helping their enemies. So what happens now? Lisa asked. Kethver was quiet for a moment. Then he did something that surprised Lisa. He knelt down on one knee, the same gesture of respect that Vexter had shown him earlier. Now, Commander Hayes, I ask for your help, he said. The Draknari Empire has been stagnant for centuries. We have forgotten how to grow, how to change. Perhaps it is time we learned from a younger species. Lisa looked at the alien commander kneeling before her. Outside, the human fleet was dismantling their solar weapon and preparing to assist with rescue operations. She thought about everything that had led to this moment. Her fake death, the hunt through space, the discovery of ancient genetic codes. It had all started with her trying to catch one alien bounty hunter, but maybe that had been the point all along. Maybe the architects had known that eventually humans would meet other species who had lost their way. And maybe humans could help them find it again. All right, Lisa said. Let's talk. The mining station had been the site of a trap within a trap within a trap. But in the end, it had become something else entirely.